Painting the track red for 2 days on the Nürburgring is given over completely to those Italian thoroughbreds. The Modena Track Days summon Ferraristi from all over the world to the Eiffel Hills, just 1 week after the Diamond Jubilee of the company in Maranello. These valuable cars are manhandled gently and carefully to the pits. Undisputed stars then as now, such as the original Formula One cars driven by Michael Schumacher or Gene Alesi. The organizer of the track days is garage owner Uwe Meisner. Really, we were pushed into it by customers who had bought an old Formula One car for their collections. And logically enough, they said, okay, now we've got the car, we want to drive it. That wasn't possible on normal roads, so we hired the Nürburgring, and that's how the Modena Track Days started. Formula One for all. Well, almost anyone can fulfill a dream of owning a Ferrari from Modena Motorsport in Langenfeld near Cologne. I first met Uwe about 6 months ago. I was interested in a Formula One car, and a few months later I was able to fulfill my dream with a 1999 Schumacher F1 car, but had to come to the Nürburgring to drive it. Reason enough? That's why I'm here. An original Schumacher Ferrari can cost up to €1.5 million. The weather is very untypically Italian, but the lure of the Grand Prix course is just too great for many a stallion from the Maranello stables. It costs €200 a turn. Each driver is allowed a maximum of 100 minutes. All the cars run according to a time schedule, but first they have to sign a disclaimer for insurance reasons before they're allowed to go. We have a quick check that they're wearing a helmet, and then they're allowed on the track to have a bit of fun. Fun. That's what the Modena Track Days are all about. To spur on those red thoroughbreds, put one's foot to the floor with no speed limits to worry about, and savor the atmosphere of the racetrack. But the continuous rain rather throws the timetable out of gear. Who wants to hurl a fortune at the crash barrier? Let's say when you've just restored a historic car, you prefer to avoid driving it in the rain. For example, the original 250 GTO, seduction on 4 wheels Italian style. Only 39 of them were ever built. Getting these cars here means an enormous commitment on my part to persuade the people to come here with a 250 GTO, and it really is a genuine GTO here, or a 250 LM917 Porsche. It takes a lot of phone calls just to get the people to turn up. This 275 GTB 1965 vintage will have been one of them. These screws and everything are original. The only things I replaced are this rubber and that rubber. You have to enjoy every minute when you have a Ferrari, don't you? Once in the old days, before they had speed cameras in Holland, I drove about 155 miles per hour. The top speed, X-Works, was exactly 159. I made it to 155. Who needs the last 4?
Ab Werk 256. Ich habe 250 habe ich das gemacht. Ich denke, na, die letzte 6 ist nicht nötig.
This is the 250 GT SWB, which stands for short wheelbase. Now, the car is probably one of the most sought-after Ferraris of them all as a road-going sports car. Many people say it's the finest Ferrari that was ever built. Back in the 60s, this car won all the sports car races that were going. It really became a legend. Legendary, too, are the Jubilee models. This is the F40, the last super sports car produced under the aegis of the great maestro Enzo Ferrari. You look and see what you had in the way of matchbox or dinky cars, and then you need the original really to experience it, and not just push it along the carpet. The weight 2,400 pounds, 470 horsepower from a V8 with 2 turbochargers, the trump card in Ferrari's foursome in the late 80s. Uwe Meisner is doing a grand job. The cars are almost better than X-Works. I shouldn't really say that, but a car is there to be driven. The racing legend Jackie Ickx was present at the first track days in 1991. My father took me as a boy to the Nürburgring, and that was the first time I saw Jackie Ickx, a young Belgian in a red Ferrari. In fact, it was the first time I'd ever come across the name Ferrari. Then I started an apprenticeship as a mechanic at Becker's, the Ferrari importers in Dusseldorf at the time, so I was closely connected with the brand from the start.
War ich natürlich schon von Anfang an eng verbunden mit der Marke.
In the meantime, he and his childhood idol have become friends, united by a common passion for Ferraris.
I think this Ferrari classic owner meeting became a tradition through the years. It's organized by Uwe Meisner, who is from Modena Motorsport, who is a real expert in motor racing cars. And we all love it.
Motor racing history at close quarters. Jackie Ickx climbs into his 312 PB, in which he won the 1,000 kilometers race here on the ring, together with Brian Redmond back in 1973.
It's very sentimental, emotional, because we have plenty of good memories, and sometimes sad memories, but yes, it's as I said, it's a unique opportunity to drive these cars, so are beautifully maintained, probably nicer than they were at the time.
Of course, Jackie seizes the opportunity for a spirited ride on the Grand Prix course. Here he meets many rivals from the past because racing cars spanning 6 decades have come to the Modena Track days. Porsches, too, of course. This is the 962, in which Hans-Joachim Stuck twice triumphed at Le Mans in 1986 and 87. Controlling this 670 horsepower monster requires a great deal of skill and, above all, courage. When you compare it with a normal road vehicle, it's more like an 800-pound horsepower go-kart, so it's quite frightening for anyone who drives only road-going cars. I think I'd need a year or two before I dare take it anywhere near the limit. This car took part in only 13 races. That means all the parts are original. This is the very same car that raced in 1987. From the racetrack to the road, the best example is the Enzo. Hard to believe this is the prototype. They put the car together from lots of parts that were just lying about the Ferrari works in the usual way. A Formula One engine from the 348 and various components from other racing cars. It was really a mobile testbed to see whether the engines would work in what was later to be the Enzo, whether they'd stand up to everyday use. Inside, the later Enzo shows little sign of that. Hectic activity in the pits. After all, a Formula One racing car is not a family runabout. Maintenance is complicated and time-consuming. We do the preparation that includes all the consumables. We fill the tank, check the oil and the tires, basically all the things you do in the course of a year with a normal car, we do in a day. It was 2003 before Uwe Meisner received an official license to repair Ferraris. As usual in Italy, you have to know the right people. We work with an engineer who's known us from the start, knows our history. With F1 Clienti status, we're able to get hold of technical information straight away. It all happens very fast, and if we're stuck, let's say with the electronics, or if it's somehow still on the secret list, then we drive down there and find the fault together. You know, we have Toyota just round the corner. It's really not very far. And once we got a call from Ferrari, they'd heard one of our cars was round to Toyota. It wasn't true. It was only a rumor. But it shows Ferrari keeps a sharp lookout, which is only logical.
Das war aber nicht, das war nur ein Gerücht. Also Ferrari achtet natürlich da sehr drauf, ist ja was auch logisch ist.
If you buy a Formula One car from Uwe Meisner, you get the whole package. Maintenance, garaging, and transport to exclusive events, such as the Modena Track days. And you have the pleasure of driving one. You get the full dose of adrenaline, 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. The engine revs to 18,000 RPM. Easily, it's the culmination of motor racing. It's not an easy job keeping all that power on the track, but they're not after championship points. It's the fun of speeding. Then the back wheel lost its grip on the white line, and I went into a spin. Not the only one to make the acquaintance of a gravel stopper. Just now, our Japanese friend spun round somewhere and his engine wouldn't restart, so of course, he had to be towed in. You only need to brake too hard, go just a little beyond your limits, and you're in the gravel. Well, professionals don't grow on trees.
No problem. Not a mechanical problem. It's only my fault.
At least he's all right, and I think we'll have him back on the track tomorrow. That's what the Modena Track Days are all about. It would be a crying shame just to hide these cars away in a museum. They're at home on the racetrack, where they will cut a good figure. Historic motor racing lives on, thanks to events like this. Well, to sum up, once again, relatively little went amiss. The people are happy, and we had some very good people here. Ickx, Redman, David Piper, Sasha Maassen, a good number of top-class drivers. I hope the spectators also had fun, and that we can hold a repeat in 2 years' time.